Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Lifestyle Mastery. Today I'm excited to have Kaiwei Tang, who's the founder of Light Phone and Essentials Phone that is designed to be used as little as possible and which is also listed at Time's Best Invention in 2019 and Fast Company's Most Innovative Design in 2020. Kai was once a product lead in the mobile phone industry. He had worked on the phone designs and development for brands such as Motorola, BlackBerry, and Nokia, sometimes working in as many as 10 designs within a year. Kai has done his MBA from Illinois Institute of Technology and also done his Masters of Design from IIT Institute of Design. Welcome to the show, Kai.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So, how did you get interested into startups and design and and technology as well?
Yeah, it's quite a journey, to be honest with you. My background is in design, user research, and I also have an MBA. I used to work for the mobile companies to design, develop smartphones, and I quit my job thinking that I won't be making another phone again at the time in early 2010. And then I joined this incubator that Google created for designers. So the ideas that Google had at the time was that they want to put designers on the founding table. So not just engineer, not just business person, right? And I wholeheartedly agree, agreeing on the value of design should be something as a core value of any company. So long story short, in 2014, I joined this incubator that Google created. And at the time, Apple just introduced Apple Watch, Google launched the Google Glass, and everyone's making an app. And obviously, Google encouraged us to create app or platforms, right? Digital product. But very soon, me and my co-founder, Joe Hollier, we kind of realized that that's creating another app is probably the last thing this society needed from us, just because through our research, we just noticed how much time people spend in their devices, right? Teenagers spend 10, 15 hours a day scrolling through Instagram, social media, spending, I don't know, 8, 10 hours a day staring at a screen. And if you go into subways or restaurants or airport, you can notice people just like burying their face in the screen and not communicating, no facial expression. And it just feels so wrong to us at the time. And the more you dive into the startup world, you realize that how many companies using the retention as a metrics to evaluate if the product they created is successful or not. Meaning, a lot of companies brag about, oh, average users spend 5 hours in my app every day. I collect this much data from users. That's why I'm valuable. That's why I'm successful. And all the social media are doing the same thing. They say it's free, but it's not really free. I think a lot of people know that by now. They take your time, attention, and data for exchange, right? And we, at the time in 2014, we feel like that there has to be something different. There has to be a balance, right? Balance is always healthy. Doesn't matter in what industry, it needs some sort of balancing. At the time, we feel like everything is moving towards more connection, more technology. Doesn't matter, doesn't care about users. It's just more time, attention needed from their users. And we wanted to be on the opposite side of the technology spectrum, right? I wanted to create a brand that, and the brand has product that help people take a break or help people encourage them to live in the moment. and using technology as tools, not a portal to advertisement or data collecting.
Right. Right. That's super interesting because time spent on smartphone leads to stress, anxiety, and distraction. I mean, you also have access to information at your fingertips, but how many apps should a person have on the phone? I understand that Light Phone has very few apps, but how many apps would you suggest a person to keep with them?
Well, we started Light Phone, the original Light Phone 1 was introduced in 2015. And at the time, Light Phone 1 is just a credit card sized device that only does voice call, nothing else, just call and receive calls, right? So we designed Light Phone 1 as an extension, an add-on to your smartphone. So we're not saying that, hey, give up your smartphone. We're saying from time to time, maybe Saturday morning, maybe after work or lunch break, take a break from your smartphone, leave your smartphone behind, take Light Phone with you. You won't miss a call from your smartphone because it's all forwarding back and forth. You could call anyone if you want to, but that's it. So you won't miss a call, but you don't have any distraction, at least for an hour a day or a couple hours a week if you want to take a break, right? That's Light Phone 1. And we shipped tens of thousands Light Phone 1 from 2015 to 2017. And we started to getting a lot of feedback from customer asking, telling us that, hey, I love going in light. I have this initial anxiety when I leave my smartphone at home. People telling us that they're nervous, they don't know what to do when they're out without smartphone. They look around, they tap your pocket, even though there's nothing there, because they have this habit of checking smartphone whenever you feel nervous, whenever you feel uncomfortable, whenever you feel awkward. Even standing in line for grocery, waiting to check out, you put out your phone and just swiping for nothing, right? That's a habit. So, but after the 15, 20 minutes, when they go out without smartphone, with just Light Phone, after 20 minutes, the magic moment is that they forget about smartphone, they forget about notification, social media, and they start to pay attention. They start to pay attention to people, to the surroundings, and they feel free. They feel the freedom after they forget about social media, smartphone, and app. And they were saying, Kai, this is awesome. I want to go light, meaning leave your smartphone behind, just take Light Phone with you. I want to go light more often. I want to go light all the time. If only you have text message, if only you have direction, right? Everyone has this one more thing, two more things to make them feel more comfortable using Light Phone more often. And that's why we introduced Light Phone 2 in 2018. We have a huge successful campaign about Light Phone 2. In Indiegogo, we raised 3.5 million from pre-orders, and we have investor join us to supporting this vision. So Light Phone 2, the next version of Light Phone, current version of Light Phone, is an e-ink credit card sized device. We have our own operating system called Light OS, and we have a toolbox, or an app store as we call it. We have our own toolbox that has all the tools, utility tool that we created. So like calling, text message, music playlist, calendar, calculator. We are launching direction next month. We have all the utility tool, but none of the entertainment, no social media, no advertisement. So, we have a very clear line in terms of what tools we wanted to add to the toolbox of Light Phone 2. Roughly I could probably summarize that into 3 guidelines. One, we will never have advertisement, no ad in any of our tools. Number 2, there will be no unlimited feeds or infinite feeds for you to browse, for you to scroll. There'll be none of that. Number three, every action that user take has an ending, meaning that you go to the direction tool, you have your directions from A to B, it navigates you to B point, and that action ends. There's no browsing, discovering. So as long as the tool fit that criteria, we're happy to introduce them. It can be even as simple as say a London subway map or a New York subway map as a tool, and you use that tool and you put it back. I always use the analogy that it's similar to how we create hammer, screwdriver, beautifully designed. You use it when you need to use a hammer to hammer something or a screwdriver to unscrew something. And after the action, you put it back or put it somewhere that you don't see it. It's invisible. It's supposed to be work like that, right? Every tool, even technology tool, digital tools, is supposed to help us get the task on hand done quickly so that you could get back to your life, right? And that's how we wanted to design that toolbox. You don't use your hammer, and then after you use your hammer and you swipe your hammer for 2 hours or 3 hours, and the hammer company make money through the time and data that you swipe your hammer. And that's just absurd. But that's how it works right now. And no one's doing anything differently. And that's why we wanted to create Light as a brand and Light Phone and our own ecosystem of Light OS and tools, so that you completely off the ecosystem that big technology company created. You're not in iPhone, you're not in Android phone, you're not holding a huge iPhone or Android phone to try to disconnect, right? Because there's a lot of argument saying that, hey, why can't I just use my smartphone and turn off all the notification or delete social media or turn on flight mode, right? Why can I do that? I don't have those tools because if I delete them. But the reality is how many times you see people deleting social media and put it back? How many times you see people turn it off and turn it back on? The device itself, the tool itself with 10-inch, 8-inch screen, beautiful screen, crystal clear screen. It's not designed for you to not look at it. It's designed for you to watch video. It's designed for app to show beautiful colors, animations, so you don't get off their product. And that's the whole billions of dollars invest into that ecosystem to hook us so that we spend more time using the product so the company make money. I mean, that business model is understandable. But what about, what if this Saturday morning, all I wanted to do is just take a walk for 2 hours or take my family to the park? Why do I have to bring a 10-inch mini computer with me? So when my kid's playing, I'm sitting there just staring at the screen, watching YouTube and doing Twitter or everything else other than interacting with my kids, right? So that's that's what we're doing.
Right. No, interesting. And let's go back to the time you've done your MBA. You've again gone back to masters of design. Was a course useful? Since you've already done your MBA, what was the concept of minimalism in Light Phone?
Well, minimalism, I think, obviously a lot of people call label Light Phone as a minimalism form, but in my head, it's naturally gears towards that, just because we try to eliminate unnecessary noise, distraction, or step other than the core value of the tool, right? So in a way, it's really stay true to the design principle or the core design value of Light and Light Phone, right? We wanted to strip down all the noise and distraction in your phone and keep the essential, you know. So that's how we design our hardware. That's why we choose e-ink. That's why we choose a small size, so it feels invisible when you carry it. That's why we choose a car size, because we carry our ID or credit card all the time. It doesn't feel like we have them. So we want the device to be invisible. We want the technology to be invisible when you don't need it, versus smartphone or your goggles always wanted to be the most shining IoT device, most shining and most advanced technology. It becomes the center of attention. But your device technology should be in the background, not in the foreground, right? So that value is the principle that we use to create the brand, create our marketing, create our website, our product, our hardware, software. Everything about our brand is eventually circle back to that core value. And in my mind, that's the design. That's design. In my head, design is not a trade. It's not a service. Design is a way of life. Everything we do is about design. It's about sticking to the core values, and you always go back to your core value, your design principle for everything, every decision you make. It could be investor deck I'm making. It could be the website we're designing. It could be the hardware device decision we're making. It could be the software decision we're making. Everything that we do, we always circle back to this core design value. And I think that's how we keep the brand consistent and unique. Because, like in design, there's a saying that if there's no boundary, you could do anything, but you won't do anything good. You cannot create a device for everyone, right? It's just not how it works. Marty Cooper, the person that creates the first smartphone or mobile phone, famously said that you cannot create a device that fit everyone's need, right? And that's the same principle a lot of designer has. Um, you basically need to understand what you're trying to do as this product, what problem you're solving. And once you have that locked down, once you have that very concrete, defined, then that becomes the core value of your company, the core value of your product. And every time you have a dilemma, you have a decision question, you need to make a decision on your business model, on your product, you always go back to the core value saying, okay, what makes sense? What's aligned with that design value you originally created?
Okay. I think this is very interesting about creating the design process. But wanted to understand, what are the values you had for the company which help you, create the design for the website or for the phone. When you talk about values, and I think somebody on the podcast with a design outlook came and said that design has rules. Like you mentioned, design has you need to have those boundaries. But what are some of the values you have for Light Phone which made you stick to that design process?
Well, I guess like in a way, I guess product wise, it's pretty clear because we want the product to be invisible. We want it to be in background, not the front ground. We want everything to just do one thing well, do one thing good. And that's how we make a lot of decisions regarding the product itself, hardware or software, doesn't matter. But the extension of that to somewhat to the philosophy of our brand is that in a way, I don't see Light Phone as a solution to this pandemic of screen addiction. I see Light Phone is actually design questions. I know it's going to sound very philosophical, but Light Phone is actually a design question we want to ask people, meaning that if you go light, meaning you leave your smartphone behind, take light phone with you. If you go light, sitting in a park, right, with your light phone, there's nothing for you to swipe. There's nothing for you to get distracted. It creates a boundary of, in terms of your surrounding, your physical surrounding, and what you can think of, right? So you're limited to yourself and your surroundings, but not get distracted by your giant smartphone and all kinds of social media and news and posts. You're not spending 1 second in every news and just occupy your mind with it. So when you're in that situation with the boundary, the question we're asking everyone is that, what's important to you? What do you want to think about? What are the important value in your life that you need to really think through? We're creating a space for everyone to be able to have that dialogue with themselves. I think that's the first idea of Light Phone 1. Light Phone 2 obviously become more usable with more tools, but if you're back to the original concept, that's exactly how we wanted to put our user into that situation of, okay, I am sitting here, I'm by myself, or I'm with my family. What's important to me? What kind of a conversation you want to have with you? And I always said that being bored, the boredom is not a suffering, is not a jail. Feeling bored is how we become creative. If like the most simple proof of that is that, say, how many of us came up with the best idea when you're showering? Right? Because there's nothing to do but showering, and you think about things and you become, oh wait, I have this idea. You become really creative. Kids, right, when they get bored, when they don't have iPad or smartphone, when they get bored, they come up with the most ridiculous game to play. They come up with the most interesting drawings, right? And that's when they become creative. Versus right now, if we get bored or kids get bored, you give them an iPad or a smartphone, they always have answers. They always be able to Google stuff and get the answers right away. They don't have to be wrong. They don't have to come up with some sort of solution, even though it's ridiculous, some for themselves, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's good and bad. Obviously, it's good on some level. You always have this dictionary with you. You always get some input from outside, from expert, right? But we're sacrificing our own creativity. We're sacrificing our own time with ourselves. And I think, I mean, obviously that's going to be a different topic, but I think social media, our internet is really changing our brain on that front. Because with Google Map, you never need to memorize where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
with Google, you never need to remember, what's the weather this afternoon, right? You don't remember phone numbers. I can't even I used to remember phone numbers of my families, my girlfriends, and my closest friends. I don't anymore. I'm not saying that's good and bad. I'm just saying maybe we should think about uh, the impact of our smartphone behavior, and maybe a balance is really needed to preserve some of that humanity. Like I say, otherwise, if every technology company is heading towards more connection, more connected, more phones, more technology, then at the end of the day, we just sit in the box, put on a VR, put on a headphone. We don't need to go anywhere. Just like, if you remember the old movie Matrix. I
Yeah.
think that's our future.
Yeah.
Do we want that future? Maybe people want to take that blue pill or red pills. They can decide for themselves, but it should have two pills, right?
Right.
For you to decide.
Right. Interesting. And what if somebody wants to have a smartphone and keep a light phone? Is it possible to port your number in both the devices?
Yes, in US, we do offer the service for you to bring your number to me and use like SIM card, which is supported by AT&T, but that's US only. Outside the US, international user, you could actually use your own SIM card. So Light Phone come as an unlocked 4G device. So you can actually use your own SIM card and put it in your Light Phone. We have a lot of customer basically switch uh, their SIM card back and forth between their smartphone and Light Phone. So when they wanted to go live, they take out their SIM card from their smartphone and put in a Light Phone and use that way. Not the most seamless transition, but it's probably the cheapest or most economic way to use Light Phone 2 without as your secondary phone or another device without adding uh, uh, another monthly fee. But in US we have an upcoming feature for user to be able to not swapping SIM card back and forth, but have the same number on both devices easily for people to pick and choose what you want to use in a given time. So that's a upcoming feature for our US customers.
Yeah, very interesting. And you've been running the company for a couple of years. The first campaign in 2015, and I think the second crowdfunding campaign in 2018. How many phones have you sold, and how much have you spent on paid acquisition to get your customers?
We are fortunate in a way that we get a lot organic press or earned media. We had thousands of press coverage from Time Magazine to Fast Company to CNN to Wall Street Journal. I didn't really spend a lot of money on marketing. We are lucky enough that people think what we're doing are interesting and wanted to talk about it. A lot of press call us or label us the anti-smartphone or anti-technology. I guess it's a catchy phrase, but I always want to clarify that. We're not. I'm not really anti-smartphone, anti-technology. I think technology tools are great. What I don't like is the advertisement business model behind it. What I don't like is the data collecting business model behind it. I want design to be honest. If you wanted, if your product wanted to collect my data and make revenue through my data, tell me, and then then it's free. Then everyone knows, okay, I'm trading in my information, my private information for a free service, right? I don't like what the advertisement model behind every app and every social media platform at the moment. Say it's free, encourage you to engage with the platform, and I think that's sorry, not a sidetrack topic, but I think the engagement as a main driver is really bad to society because when a platform, their main focus is drive engagement so that it can attract more advertisement revenue, they will do anything to drive engagement, meaning what's the easiest way to get people engaged? The negative things. What's the easiest way for me to come and for me to interact with a post, a negative post, right?
Right.
Or on the other, that's one side. On the other side, what's the easiest way for me to keep watching video? Show me the video I'm interested in. So I think that's why our, this world becomes so imbalance, or people, like, how do you call it? Um, um, People can find a common ground. Right and left cannot find a common ground, because if you go to social media, you use social media for your news, you're always going to see the news that you agree to. You're always going to see the videos that you watched, similar to the things you watched. You're never going to see, or very minimum chance you're going to see, the opposite side of opinion. Right? So when you don't see that, your opinion is shaped by social media. It's not like you open a newspaper. Obviously, newspaper can be biased to a certain angle, but it's at least it's not as driven by algorithm, right? As in compared to right now. So I do feel like it's really horrible for our democracy, and you know for us to find, to different people to find common ground. The more we use social media, and the more you spend time in your smartphone, the more divided we will become eventually. Sorry, that's probably a sidetracked from what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I think I could see that you're passionate about solving the problem of making phones more minimalistic, and making sure that people don't get distracted from social media. And wanted to understand, what is the distribution process? How do you look at distributing your handsets across to the end customer?
Yeah, we right now, majority of our orders came directly to our website, direct to consumer. I think it's logical because uh, we spend a lot of time building our brand, and we're so unique in a way it's counter mainstream. So I don't see it makes sense for us to put Light Phone among other smartphones in Amazon, or in a smartphone tech retail. At the first As a first step, I think we need to build up our own brand recognitions. We need to have a space to tell the story before we move into a more um, uh, mass adopted channel, say like Amazon, or Best Buy in US, or tech retailers. Otherwise, if you go to a store, you see Light Phone with all the feature phone, smartphone, it's gonna be difficult for you to understand what's the value of this minimalist device that the that smartphone obviously does everything for you, and potentially cheaper. Right?
Yeah.
And we are a small company, we are a startup, so our cost is substantially higher than big tech companies. We can't keep our costs down by ordering millions of components in one order. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that, and a lot of customers asking us, like, why are you so expensive? Why can't you keep the price at $10? Or you creating a minimalist device, why can this be $20? Right? You can find $20 feature phone, Nokia phone from Alibaba or Amazon right now. Why is this device cost $299? And that we spend a lot of time trying to communicate, trying to say, hey, trying to want to be transparent and tell people that, number one, we can keep the cost down as a startup. I don't order millions of phone components at once. That's number one. Number two, I don't really use any on the shelf components. everything about iPhone 2 is customized, from e-ink screen to all the components. And when you customize components, it's more expensive, obviously. So, and it's I think that's a concept or an idea we wanted to communicate to our potential users as well. Like we're not big tech. You know, you can't. It's just not feasible for me to compete with those company without on our pricing. So yeah.
Yeah. Got it. And you raised close to $9 million. What is the future for Light Phone, and where do you plan to invest money into phones, and what are you looking for in the future?
So where we are right now is that I think we are already established our brand value, or a lot of people recognize or know what we're trying to do. At least our early adopters. We have a very diehard supporters that have been with us for the last 5 years. And right now, what we wanted to do is to hopefully make more people feel comfortable trying iPhone 2 or take a break from their smartphone by offering a few more essential tools. And we have our hardware ready. Our roadmap now, it's all about software tools in our toolbox or app store, as commonly understand it. So our R&D development expense right now, it's all about building more tools, make sure iPhone 2 make more people feel comfortable, make sure the transition or experience switching back and forth for second phone user is seamless. It's all about software experience so that you can easily pick a iPhone and go out. Don't worry about missing call and text. Every call and text goes to both devices, and you could call from your iPhone 2, and it goes out as your smartphone number, right? Making sure that experience is seamless, as well as offering a few more utility tools so people feel like, oh, I have direction. Oh, I can get a taxi. I could text people on my iPhone 2. I'm fine. I just need those 3 things and it's covered. I'm going to go light all day today. Well, I'm going to go light 2 days this week or the whole weekend. Right? I think that's our focus right now. And we are raising money, and the money is going to help us accelerate the development cycles of the software tools.
All right. Kai, I quickly want to do that top 3. What's your favorite business book?
What's my favorite business book? I think, it's not necessarily business book, is a design book, but it's called The Design of Everyday Things, I think. Okay. So it's explaining the thinking behind making simple things like a doorknob, right? Like, how do you signifying a door? You need to push or pull the doors to open it, and how do you signifying the use case through a very simple design? I think it's a business book, in my opinion, because that's how every product should be created. You think through every small details. You think through how the shape signaling the use case, how the color make people feel. That to me is probably the fundamental business book for every startup founders, in my opinion.
Right. Interesting. And if you could go back in time when you started Lightroom, what is the one thing you would focus on or done anything differently?
Sorry, could you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if you could go back in time when you started Lightphone, what is the one thing you would have focused on or done anything differently?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'll be more prepared in terms of raising money, or be more prepared that to know that I will spend as a founder, co-founder, and CEO of the company. I'll probably spend 90% of my time raising money. Yeah, I think that's like, I obviously my background is design and engineering. I never thought I'll spend this much time talking to investors and raising money. Uh, but I think it's inevitable, and every founder, every entrepreneur probably knows about that. Unless you're really lucky, you don't need to worry about money. At the end of the day, every founder turns into a full-time fundraiser. uh,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's a good one. Do you have any favorite online tools, for example, Gmail, Slack, so on?
The what? Sorry.
Yeah, do you have any favorite online tools, for example, Gmail, Slack, so on, or any tool that you use?
Oh, I don't use Slack. I just too noisy for me. The most useful tool for me is Carta, Carta.
Okay.
Carta. It's a cap table tool
Yeah.
for me to track our cap tables, our investors, shares, and all that. And I use DocSend, DocSend, to share investor deck with investors. I think that I've been using that tool for, I don't know, since I start raising money, sending deck, and I could see which page that the potential investor spend most time on and probably most interesting in, or which page is pretty much useless. So in a way for me to um, design the deck to better represent the company and our business.
Yeah, interesting. And Kai, what is the best way people can reach out to you and know more about Lightphone?
Oh, feel free to email me at Kaiwei at thelifephone.com, KAIWEI at thelifephone.com.
Got it. We'll put that in the show notes. Kai, thank you so much for taking our time speaking to us. I really enjoyed the conversation with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.